and fire. Willpower, blood, desire. One goal to live for before we die. One taste of glory. One mouthful of sky.
This is ridiculous.
So then you're denying it.
Who told you this rubbish?
Is it rubbish?
You are accusing me of hiring a contract killer on Ashok Mathur's instructions.
That's what I said.
I won't even dignify that kind of a slander with a reply.
Or is it slander?
Look, you have caused enough nuisance with your name being hinted at in the newspaper. Now, if any reporter catches hold of these stupid fantasies of yours,
And finds out that it's true, then what?
even if a word of this is mentioned to the press, I tell you,
Why? Are you scared of a good investigative reporter looking into it? Are you scared of what he might find?
I'm not going to tolerate any sort of negative publicity for the company. Do you understand? Bad enough someone has been leaking information about the chamber.
Which in turn is leaking toxic gases into the air and endangering the lives of innocent people in that area. You were always too obsessed with the big picture, brother. Big, bigger, biggest. That's all that mattered to you. Whatever it took to achieve it. That's why I hated being part of this organization.
Thank God you're not a part of it.
We'll see about that.
Look, the papers are all drawn. The checks are ready.
Give it to the people in Chembur who started puking blood after last year's gas leak.
And where are you going?
Oh, would you care to join me for a drink? On second thoughts, where I go to, they don't serve blood.
You just can't leave like that.
Why not?
I cannot let you walk out of this office thinking all sort of absurd things about me, Prithvi.
So why won't you tell me the truth?
I've told you the truth.
That you don't know Ashok Mathur?
Yes.
You'll have to do better than that.
What do you want to know?
Are you going to give me a straight answer?
Look, you ask me a straight question, you get a straight answer.
Okay, here goes. You did not put that contract out on behalf of Mathur.
That contract for murder. What do you think I am? Godfather?
Just say yes or no.
Obviously, no. Look, Chotu, whoever has been telling you this sort of nonsense doesn't know what he's talking about.
I think he does.
All right, good. Tell me. Who is it?
You haven't answered my question.
I said no.
So you didn't hire a killer to kill my 4 MII friends?
What?
Akash Bhandarkar, Pavan Sarkar, Varsha Patil, Shama Merchant?
Yes. Your long-lost pals. Best friends!
Still are.
Of course, how can I forget? And you were stuck together like the Panch Pandavas.
Exactly.
So, what possible reason do you think Ashok Mathur will have to kill your best friends?
I don't know.
There. You see how wrong your source of information is? Prithvi, who hires a contract killer to kill without motive?
I can think of at least one reason why you would.
What? What motive would I have to kill your best friends of all the people?
Let's face it, Piyush. You hate my guts. Always have. Why, I even stole your first girl from right under your nose.
Madhuri.
Was that her name?
So what? What's your point?
I don't know. Envy, maybe? Remember the time you came back and found Madhuri and me on the living room sofa?
Okay, enough!
You were so mad back then that you pulled out Dad's revolver. We had to wrestle it out of your hand.
That was a long time ago.
You haven't changed.
So what? What's your point anyway? Did I envy you enough to go and hire a killer to kill your best friend?
If you could pull out Dad's revolver back then, who knows? Now you could hire somebody else to pull the trigger.
That's the most absurd thing I've heard in my whole life.
Okay. So tell me one more thing.
Ha, another fantastic theory. You should be making television serials out of this, soap operas.
Okay. $1,000,000 question.
Shoot.
What is the connection between Ashok Mathur and Jonathan Parker?
Why did you put it off? It's such a charming old song.
I know. Such a beautiful song. Just reminds me of my past.
You know, it reminds me of a play you did in MII. You even cast me in some role.
Funny Hearts?
Funny Hearts, yes. I don't know why, but the song reminds me of that play.
I used the song in a street scene in the play, don't you remember?
Yes, I had this huge walking stick in that scene. And Prithvi was this street ruffian who was Eve-teasing Shama. And you and Varsha had a big love scene. And then there was Jonathan
Parker, who was trying to take the air out of the motorcycle cop's tires.
Yes.
That's why I switched off the music.
Too many bad memories.
No. Too many good memories. I don't know why in these last few days, we've just been thinking that our past has been one of the most horrible things that has happened to us. Don't you remember the 5 of us? We were so good together.
That's true.
Until Jonathan Parker.
I don't know how you can keep saying that name over and over again. I can't even mention that name. I can't even think of that windswept night at the MII guest house. I can't even remember his face as he began to scream.
Pavan, it's going to catch up with you sooner or later.
Yes, but I wish it was later rather than sooner.
You know, there was a line I used in my play Burning Bridges. It was, you can't change the past, but it can change you.
Yes. Still gives me goosebumps.
Pavan, you have to face the past and attack it before it destroys you.
So what do you propose we do? At last.
Mr. Pavan, Mr. Akash. Inspector Menezes, Crime Branch, CBI. May I come in? Nice place.
It's not our apartment.
Yes, I know. It's Mr. Prithvi's residence, isn't it? He's here, isn't he?
He had to leave on some urgent work.
Would he be at the office, the BMR office?
I'm not really sure.
What time are you expecting him back?
Your guess is as good as ours.
But I'm sure if you had informed him that you were coming here, he would have stayed behind for you.
I'm sure. But I did telephone. Only no one was answering the telephone.
Bombay telephones are supposed to be notoriously undependable.
You must be in a tearing hurry to get back to Toronto.
Or Hawaii, or Honolulu, or even the Riviera, anywhere but here.
I've heard of your reputation as a trial lawyer. They speak highly of your integrity and how you go out of your way to help people from the underprivileged communities.
Who have you been talking to?
I understand you're terribly impatient to get back to your practice as a lawyer.
Believe me, you have no idea.
But I hope you'll understand that this is a very serious investigation. And each day, it's getting more and more complicated, more and more confusing.
With confusing being the operative word.
I see you found a sense of humor.
Some things, Inspector, you can't help but find humorous.
Well, you weren't so humorous yesterday when you dropped into police headquarters and tried to convince ACP Swami and me to close the investigation and return your passports? Well, Mr. Pavan?
Inspector, what exactly was it that you wanted to talk to us about?
Well, you must be aware that Mr. David Parker is no longer in our custody.
He had diplomatic immunity?
Yes, there was nothing we could do about it.
Yes, just like there was nothing you could do about letting Ranade get out of custody.
I know Mr. Pavan doesn't have a very high opinion about the Bombay police. Let me assure you, we are not so thick-headed or dense as you think. After Mr. David Parker was released from our custody, I did some investigation into his family, into his background. And I found some very interesting facts about his family and about his background.
Sir,
Yes, what's it, Krishna?
it's quite late, sir, and
So?
so may I leave for the day? My wife just called.
No, I have to speak to you later. Let me finish with Prithvi first.
Sir, the time is...
I don't give a damn. If you want a 9-to-5 job, go and become a typist again.
Still whipping the slaves till they bleed, big brother.
I have had enough of your foolish talk for the day, Prithvi. Please forget it now.
Want to give me some lashes too?
This entire fantasy about Ashok Mathur and the contract killer, and of course me envying you enough to kill your best friends, is too much for me to take.
Strange. You seemed to take it seriously an hour or so ago.
Exactly. I have wasted enough time on it. And I want to end this conversation now.
Sure. Just as soon as you answer that last question of mine.
Prithvi, I'll call you in a day or two.
I want an answer right now.
I have an urgent matter to deal with.
This is urgent too.
What question?
What connection does Ashok Mathur have with Jonathan Parker? What exactly did you find out about David Parker?
Many things.
For instance?
For instance, he came from a very well-known American political family. The Parkers have been connected with American politics for many generations. And his father, Matt Parker, of course, he was an ambassador.
So, what does that have to do with David Parker?
I was coming to that. Mr. Matt Parker had two sons. The elder one was David Parker, and the younger one was, of course, Jonathan Parker. Now, this is the interesting part. This part about the younger one, Jonathan Parker.
I see.
Yes. It appears that this Jonathan Parker is dead. He died before he could graduate from a very well-known management institute, the MII, the Management Institute of India. He died under very mysterious circumstances. It was a police case, and his file was marked accidental death. Well, of course, you must be aware of all this.
Why do you think so, Inspector?
All of you must be aware of the circumstances that led to the accidental death of Sir Jonathan Parker.
And why is that?
Do I have to remind you, Mr. Akash, or you, Mr. Pawan,
Remind us of what?
of the closeness you shared with Mr. Jonathan Parker 13 years ago?
Perhaps you could explain further, Inspector. 13
years ago, the five of you were together at the Management Institute of India, along with Mr. Jonathan Parker, weren't you?
Prithvi, I've told you enough.
And I've told you, I need an answer to that question.
This fax has to be replied to immediately.
So has my question.
I have wasted enough time answering your stupid questions.
Then waste another minute.
Don't push me too far, Chotu.
Don't call me Chotu.
As long as you behave like an immature adolescent, you deserve to be treated like one.
And as long as you look like you have something to hide, I won't stop asking my questions.
Krishna, take your fax. Still here?
Until I get a reply, like that fax.
Send this immediately. Go on, pick it up! Fool!
So for the third time, Piyush, what connection does Ashok Mathur have with Jonathan Parker? Well, Piyush?
Look, I don't know who these people are you're talking about. And I have no interest in talking about them any further. I'm asking you to leave my office politely. And not to visit me ever again with these stupid rumors and gossip of yours.
Your office? Let me remind you that I have a majority stake in this company.
Not for long, my dear friend.
Oh, didn't I tell you? I won't be selling my shares to you after all.
You have to sell your shares to me, whether you like it or not, Prithvi.
What will you do if I don't?
That's for me to do and for you to find out.
You've already hired a killer to kill my 4 friends.
Defamation is against the law, Prithvi.
Then have me arrested.
There are worse things than being arrested, you know that?
What's worse than being arrested?
You Shaheja.
You were supposed to call me back.
Learn to have patience.
Look, I have to speak to you now.
I told you I'll call you back.
That voice. That was Ranade, the guy at the hospital. He tried to kill us.
Krishna, send the security up immediately.
So you did hire a contract killer to kill us?
This minute!
Then it's all true. You are in cahoots with Ashok Mathur.
I have called the security. Leave right now.
And I thought you were my brother. Now I'm even ashamed to call myself by the same name.
Fine. You want to be thrown out?
This guy, Ranade, at the guest house. He was the one who put the bomb in the fireplace and who shot Akash.
You mention a word of this to anyone, I'll have you arrested for defamation.
When he couldn't finish the job at the guest house, he came to the hospital with David Parker.
You even whisper this to the press, and I'll make sure that you ruin Prithvi.
Ruined? You're the one who's ruined, big brother. You're the one with blood on his hands.
You should see a psychiatrist. Your last chance to leave. Quietly.
If you touch any of my friends, I'll kill you. I swear it.
साहब को उठाकर बिल्डिंग के बाहर फेंक दो.
But sir, he's part one of the company, sir. You cannot throw him out.
You talk too much and I throw you out too.
This isn't over. I will fight you every step of the way.
Get out!
Pavan? Pavan, are you okay?
Is he unwell?
Indian food, doesn't seem to suit him.
Does anything Indian suit him?
Would you care to drink, Inspector?
No, thanks. Not on duty. How are you feeling now?
Much better, thank you.
How's the wound?
It's healing.
Good. You were lucky,
Actually, Inspector, I would have been far luckier not to have been shot at all.
Yes. Dr. Mehta was telling me that if the bullet had hit you just a few inches to the left, you would have been killed. Apparently, the guy who shot at you shot to kill.
Isn't that why people usually shoot at each other, Inspector?
Yes. But this guy was different. He was a professional.
How do you know that?
Well, no evidence at the scene of the crime. No physical evidence. No shell casings. No fingerprints. Nothing to tie the suspect to the crime.
But I thought you suspected Ranade of being the person at the guest house.
Well, suspicion is one thing and Proving is another.
Obviously, it doesn't help if your suspect escapes before your investigation.
Doesn't help. Can I be frank with you?
Of course.
What has David Parker got to do with you and your friends?
I wish I knew.
Come on, don't act so innocent. Tell me the truth.
Listen, I am telling you the truth. I don't know.
Isn't it a fact that David Parker's brother Jonathan Parker was with you in the same class at the MII 13 years ago?
I think this is a fact that you can very easily check.
I have, Mr. Akash.
Then it is not necessary to ask.
Isn't it also a fact that Mr. Jonathan Parker's mysterious death was at the same guest house where you were shot at a few nights ago?
You seem to have done your research most thoroughly, Inspector.
Why did you and your friends arrange to meet at the MII guest house on the night in question?
We didn't.
But you just said earlier that...
Yes?
Won't you sit down?
No, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Well, you just said earlier that you all met at the guest house because of a message you all received.
That is right.
Who sent the message?
Well, each of us thought that one of the others had sent this message.
And who was it?
It was none of us.
None of you.
It was none of the five of us. Somebody else had sent that message.
Are you quite sure?
What do you mean?
Well, this person who had sent the message, apparently he sent it because he wanted all of you to be there and then kill you.
Well, I suppose that makes sense.
I understand that it was a pre-agreed message, a message which only the five of you knew about. Am I right?
It was a poem. It was a verse that was part of our friendship.
And it went earth, wind, rain and fire?
We have told you all this before, Inspector.
Just the five of you knew about it, and yet each one of you denies it.
We are just covering old ground here.
All right, then bear with me. Would you agree with me that the person who sent the message was in all probability the one who tried to kill you?
It makes sense.
All right? Then it's obvious, isn't it?
What is obvious?
That one of you sent the message and got the rest of you there and tried to kill them.
That is ridiculous. Why would one of us want to do such a thing?
Exactly. That's what I want to know. What is the motive?
It's an interesting theory.
It surely is.
But do you have any evidence to support this theory, Inspector?
Yes, I do.
And what is the evidence?
I'm sorry I can't tell you at the moment.
But what sort of evidence is it? What does it suggest?
Well, it suggests that there was a sixth person at the guest house that night. The sixth person was in all probability Mr. Ranaday, a hired killer, hired by one of you to kill the others.
That is impossible.
Well, all I need to know is the evidence, and once I get the evidence, I know whom to nail. As for now, all that I can say is that one of you hired Mr. Ranaday to kill the others off.